Hello, this is Jackie Pride, and I want to dedicate this court card series to my friend Ingrid. She plays the harp. She's got her own YouTube channel, and she's an amazing person. She had asked me, or not asked me, but mentioned back a while ago about my my ideas on the court cards, and I'm doing this for her. So, and if you guys can benefit from it, then that's great. So I'm going to start with this clip will be about the Page of Chalices, and I'm using the Tarot of the New Vision. This this deck is different from other tarot decks in that they took the standard picture and they like turned it 180 degrees. So you're getting the tarot card, but with a different perspective. You're getting it from the perspective of what the character in the card is looking at. I felt when this deck came out, I felt like it was the most genius thing that could have happened. And out of all my tarot decks, this one really is my go-to one. So the Knave, in this deck it's called the Knave of Chalices, but the Page of Cups typically shows a young person holding a cup and there's a fish in it. But in this card, it looks like this because we're seeing his perspective, okay? We're seeing what he's looking at. He's looking at the fish in the cup, but now we see him, he's on the beach, and he's also looking at a seashell. Um, you can see there the star. It's made up of seashells, and he's by the cliff. So there's a picture of him, right? When this card comes up in a reading, what it basically means to me is that we have, if you notice here, this is the Page of Cups, but he's all decked out at the beach. Now, for those of you who don't ever go to the beach, let me tell you, it's you don't feel like you're in the right attire when you go to the beach with all your clothes on. I mean, it's sandy, it's messy. You don't really see people walking around with shoes. Um, a lot of people, uh, they're in bathing suits. It's a place where you take your clothes off and and you're walking with your bare feet and you're connecting with the elements. So the fact that he's on the beach but he's wearing in full outfit, it reminds me of somebody who doesn't necessarily feel comfortable in the environment they're in. Obviously, we know that he is comfortable at the beach, but maybe he's coming to the beach on his lunch break. And see, that's where he's not feeling comfortable, is in the job setting, maybe at the school he's going to, maybe even the house, the family he comes from. Wherever he comes from, um, it's not it's not completely in tune with who he is. But he accepts that. But he still seeks out the places that are in tune with him. And in this case, that happens to be at the beach. Now, what has he done? He's done something that a lot of kids do. A lot of kids dig up sand crabs and things like that. He's got a little fish in his cup. Not to, probably just, it was swimming there and he scooped it up and he's looking at it and that's nice. It's not unlike people who walk and collect seashells, or they collect the seagull feathers, or they collect the rocks. I like to collect the rocks, and if I find branches or something that just seem to stand out to me, I'll bring those things home. So, and you've seen that he's put together, um, some seashells. He's arranged them in a little star, if you will, and he's standing there and he's just trying to reconnect with something that he feels absolutely at home at. So a lot of light workers feel this way. It's that sense of when we go out into the world, we know that we have to adhere to most social norms. Um, we put up with it as much as we can, but we have to seek out on a regular basis those places where we can just be ourselves, where we can feel at home. And so that's what this card brings up. It's not that maybe he just doesn't have anything he wants to say, because a lot of times page cards mean communication. In this case, it's more about the vibe. It's more about that tenderness, that just sitting next to someone and not having to say anything, not having to be pestered with someone else talking out loud because they're not used to being quiet. It's just sitting there and enjoying the environment and the place where you're at and just taking a breath and soaking it in as much as you can, because you know you're going to have to leave and go back to that whatever, go back to that situation where you know that it's just part of being alive, being in these situations where you can't completely be yourself. So this card also makes me think about, since he's got the fish in the cup, somebody that is very sensitive to the animal world, somebody that, has, again, that wordless connection, that ability to connect with something, and they don't have to verbalize it. They can just empathize, or, they can just feel what's going on without having to say anything. So this card is about just being quiet. Just be quiet. Just go someplace where you can just breathe and relax, where you can take the pressure off, where you can, for a little bit, you're not having to conform. Like I said, the beach is a place where you take your clothes off. You're allowed to go barefoot. It's normal to walk around, and the guys walk around in their swim trunks, and their shirts are off, and the girls can wear their bikinis or whatever. Nobody's saying anything, because that's just, it's okay to do that there. So if this card comes up in a reading and it's representing you, you may not realize that you need to just leave wherever you're at, or take a break from the people around you. And maybe instead of the beach, it's a new age store. Maybe instead of the beach, it's the church. Maybe it's just, it's going someplace where you can just be quiet and soak up the good vibes and just relax. Um, if this is representing, maybe you're asking about someone else and this comes up, this may be somebody who you may not realize just how tender-hearted they are. And maybe you're trying to get through to them, or show them you love them, or communicate something, but they're not responding the way you'd like. Well, this person, you may see them open up more to like an animal or a puppy or something than to a person. But just because a person doesn't sit there and verbalize everything, it doesn't mean that they're not feeling deep things. It doesn't mean that they're not just as enlightened as you. You know, I went through this with a friend like not too long ago. I think she had ADD. She couldn't stop talking, and her thoughts jumped everywhere. And because she was so like, couldn't, I mean, literally couldn't stop talking. And all she did was listen to Hay House lectures. So she was very conscious, quite conscious, and yet at the same time, she didn't seem to have that ability to focus. So she was conscious, but she wasn't focused. But all of that energy, it never, it's like she never stopped to breathe. It caused me to just sit back and be quiet. So that when it was like, she, eventually, I think in her life she's probably used to people just cutting her off or telling her to be quiet so that they can get a word in. Well, I didn't do that. Her energy caused me to just sit back and be quiet, and I just sat. And then she interpreted that as meaning like, I had defensive energy coming up, or didn't have an open heart, or I didn't, you know, I wasn't as engaged in the friendship as she was, where the truth is I just didn't have anything I wanted to say. I was just sitting there, you know, just watching. That's how her energy affected me. So this is just kind of one of those, just be quiet, calm down, take a breath. It's a wordless, um, that's my son there. It's just a wordless kind of thing. And if you are working on healing yourself, you may want to invest in some kind of like a fish or something, something where it's so safe, this person is safe, this animal is safe for you to open your heart to. Because that's what this is about. This is about someone with a very open heart. And their heart is so open, they don't really even know, maybe don't even have the words. In their wisdom, they just keep it to themselves. And then they go about their business. Okay? So that to me is the page of cups. All right. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.